Hi children, now we are going to discussing chapter 8 Industrial Revolution. In the previous lesson you learned about various ways in which things are made by artisans. We also read that many of them are not able to compete with machine made goods or products, and that many people have stopped practice their professions. During the 1500 AD to 1800 AD, trade between countries in America, Europe, Africa, and Asia increased manifold. Textile trade too began to expand. Now European traders began to use putting out system. That is, they gave advance to small farmers and artisans to produce textile goods. During this period, income from farming was low and many peasants lost their farming and grazing land. Under footing out system, a cloth trader in Britain purchased cotton from a farmer and carried it to the spinners. Then the yarn was taken by the trader to the next stage of production. The weavers, the cloth was taken to the fullers and finally to the dyers who gave it color. These different activities could be done in different parts of the country. So textile goods were produced by a large number of producers who were controlled by traders. Now we are going to discussing about beginning of Industrial Revolution 1750 and 1850 AD. Many changes occurred during this period. In about 1750, machines and steam power began to be increasingly used to produce goods. To move goods and people from one place to another place, and several living in villages and moved to towns and cities for the work. Today we use many machines and machine-made goods in our daily life. This was the beginning of the machines in Britain. The traders brought the craftspersons under one roof so that they could explain their requirements and organize the production more effectively. They set up small workshops called manufactories. The craftsmen brought their own tools and worked with raw material given by the trader. Then the traders took the product and sold it in the market. In this way, slowly the control of the traders over the craftspersons increased. This phase is called proto-industrialization. Under the establishment of control over the workers and large market for craft products developed across the world. Look at the picture. It is a spinning jenny, a new machine to spin yarn. James Watt, as an English craftsman who invented steam machine, he noticed that the steam had so much strength that it could move enormous weight. To tap this energy, he made a machine which would may run with the help of the steam and would not need men or animals to drive it. He showed his invention to an industrialist called Boulton, and the two entered into the partnership to make such machines. Boulton invested the money necessary and paid salary for Watts. James Watt made the steam engine. They made an agreement between them to share the profit. 2/3 to Boulton and 1/3 to Watts. These two persons made a large number of steam engines, sold them and made a huge profits. Once it is established that machines could run on steam, then such machines were made for all kinds of work: spinning, weaving, making iron tools, driving vehicles and ships, etc. During 1750-1850 AD, a new system called the factory system emerged. In the place of simple tools and manual power, now use new machines and steam power came to be increasingly used. Production was now carried on in a place called factory. Hundreds of workers were brought together to work in these large factories. Machines became important in place of minor tools and handlooms. All facilities for production were owned and managed by individuals called capitalists. They invested money on workers, raw material, machines, etc. and owned them. Workers worked for wages and did not own the things they produced. Let us read about the experience of a child employed or child labor in an English coal mine. I have been working in this mine since I was 4. The workers fill the coal in the wagons. Our job is to push these loaded wagons. This is a very difficult job. We have to work in this way for more than 12 hours a day. By the time we return home, we are so tired that we don't even feel like eating. I fell asleep on my way to home. My mother searched for me and carried me home. There were several movements and strikes to stop the employing children in this manner in factories and mines. The major changes occurred in industries with the coming of machines. Due to the machines, so many employees became unemployed. Machines could be worked by even unskilled persons. The skilled artisans were no longer required. In this place, a large number of women and children were employed and made to work for meager wages, that means low wages. Every day we come for work at 6 am and work till 8:30 pm. The lunch break is only for an hour. By the end of the day, we are too tired to work. Look at the picture. It shows children pushing cart inside coal mine. Every time a factory owners introducing machines, many of the artisans and employees and workers thrown into the streets. Most of these workers had no other option as they had been expelled from their lands, and if they were small craftsmen, their shops had closed down. Gradually, the workers of factories and labor formed a trade unions or organization to fight against the factory owners for good working conditions. In the beginning, they demanded 10 to 8 hours working day and higher wages, and banned the child labor mainly under 14 years of age in the factories. Now we are going to discussing about source of energy and industrial development. We have seen that energy is needed to run machines in a factory. Energy is available from the coal, electricity, petroleum, and so on. Initially, industries depend upon the energy from the coal and steam. Subsequently, they started using several other sources of energy like thermal and hydroelectricity, petroleum, natural gas, nuclear energy, and solar energy. Now we are going to discussing about the transport revolution. The invention of the steam engine boosted shipping industry. It is also reduced the cost of transportation by the 1/3 of the cost of road transport. George Stephen's locomotive pulled heavy loads along a 64 km track from Liverpool to Manchester at a speed of 46 km per hour. In 1840s, John Loudon McAdam devised a method of laying road using broken stones. This created a hard surface which was an important advancement in road construction. In the early 20th century, aircraft was developed by Wright brothers, and today air transport is a major means of transport. Industrial production increased so much that it was not possible to sell all the products in their own countries. The factory owners began to sell their goods in other countries too. Machine-made goods very cheap and durable all over the world. This gave boost to the industrial revolution in England and other countries. The cotton needed producing cloth was grown in India and America. English traders purchased these raw material from India and other countries and sold them to factory owners. Hence, the demand for them increased all over the world. This gave a boost to the industries in England and other countries. Now we are going to discussing about urbanization and slums. Industrial revolution led to gradually shift of people from village to towns. These people created slums. Slums had little sanitation or other facilities. Accidents, diseases, and epidemics were common. There is no proper sanitation and ventilation. Slums became a common scenario in towns and cities. Generally, we can see slums in outskirts of the cities and near the factories and mines. Today, people fighting for sanitation, water supply, roads, and other facilities. Slowly, workers fought for civic rights and the conditions of the workers. Look at the picture. It redrawing of illustration of inside of factory. Look at the figures. Here, people doing working at the time of industrial revolution in factories. Look at the world map. It's showing colonies of European countries in 1800. These countries occupying by the European countries, mainly United Kingdom, that means England, France, Portugal, Spain, etc.